Mouse Trouble News fans, the situation on the Korean Peninsula is about to get a hell of a lot more exciting. What's happened now is the Chinese military has now sent a ton of troops and warplanes to the border with the DPRK, seemingly with the intent of defending North Korea from the United States. There have been multiple reports of warplanes now patrolling the airspace between the two countries. There are reports from various media outlets throughout China saying that there's now a buildup of troops that have been passing through the city on their way to the border with the North Korean nation. There's also been spotting of Chinese Navy drills in the Yellow Sea, which seem to be practicing for a defense or repelling invaders that would be headed towards the DPRK. Now, I don't think I need to tell you that this is a very dangerous situation. Now, here's some more information from the media. The missile activity is believed to be North Korea's response to the ongoing U.S.-South Korean military exercises that last week included the highly publicized flights by two B-2 strategic nuclear bombers near North Korean territory as a part of the annual military exercises. There are also indications North Korea will soon conduct a flight test of its new KN-08 road mobile ICBM, or its intermediate range Musudan mobile missile. Test preparations have been detected in the past, the official said. There's also been reports of mechanized infantry that's been sent to the area near the Yalu River, which does border between the two Asian countries. It's very obvious that things on the Korean Peninsula are starting to escalate with this new addition of forces for the ongoing conflict between North Korea, South Korea, and the United States. It seems the Chinese do realize that they have a vested interest in keeping the DPRK functioning and stable. This is a complicated situation for China. For one, China doesn't want to deal with any kind of hostilities between the United States and North Korea because it ends up putting them in the middle, and they have to be, the monkey in the middle, passing messages back and forth, doing all the diplomacy when they really would rather not be wasting their time on these things. China does have a vested interest in keeping hostilities between the two down. China doesn't want war with the U.S. because the U.S. is the main consumer for, well, frankly, everything it produces, or just about everything it produces. And a war with the United States would certainly harm those relations, and they would purchase less from them. And that would in turn hurt their economy. However, on the same side, the U.S. cannot afford not to do this because most of what they purchase and what they purchase or what's bought in America, the goods and services, in this situation, goods, is actually coming from China, Chinese factories. And U.S. companies have invested a hell of a lot of money into China, and they want to see a return on those investments. So the two countries are very dependent and do economically need each other very much. However, China has a very serious interest in keeping the DPRK free from U.S. influence. For one thing, if the DPRK was to actually fall, that would mean there would be U.S. bases right on the border with China. And that is something China can certainly not tolerate, because that would place them in grave danger, and the future predicted hostilities between the two giants, that would be a great launching place for an invasion of China. So we can definitely see China does not want the U.S. to have any kind of a base there whatsoever. Now, we also must take into consideration there is a great deal of rare earth metals inside the DPRK, and then China does purchase a lot of those rare earth metals because it is cheaper than getting them at home. The same reason why the U.S. uses, buys minerals and whatnot from China. So it's also in China's economic interest to keep the DPRK functioning and stable. So we definitely do see that China has a very strong interest in keeping the DPRK away from U.S. influence or being destroyed by the U.S. because they cannot tolerate to have a U.S. base on the border with them. However, at this point, it is a lot of blustering. There are new forces being added to the situation, so we can't really tell where everything is going yet, but we can definitely tell that China is starting to really recognize its interests and standing up perhaps in defense of the DPRK. This may also be a sign from China that they're really, really sick and tired of all this back and forth between the two powers. This is a rather complicated imperialist situation. Both countries have a vested interest in North Korea. The U.S. wants it down for their imperialist interests, and China wants it preserved for their imperialist interests. So what we're seeing is a lot of contradiction within the imperialist world that could very well break out into a world war. I don't think it's too likely that it could happen because nobody genuinely wants a world war. However, this situation does seem to be driving us that way, and we really should all be on alert and contact our own officials and our own governments and tell them a war with North Korea is not what we want. The people of North Korea have every right to defend themselves from the unjust, hostile actions that are coming from the U.S. imperialist power. The people of the DPRK have every right to fight these unjust sanctions that are being placed against them. And if the people of the DPRK are pushed right against the wall and have no chance for survival, they will most certainly strike out at the aggressors who are causing them this entire situation. So to you, anybody watching, go out, contact your member of Congress, your member of Parliament, or what have you, and tell them no to war in Korea. This is not a fight that we, the people, want to be a part of.